Hi everybody, I'm Larry Keane, Senior Vice President and General Counsel for the National Shooting Sports Foundation, and welcome to another edition of SHOT Show TV. I'm joined today by Beth Baumann from Town Hall and Sean Davis, co-founder of the Federalist. We're going to talk a little bit about the 116th Congress and what the firearms industry and gun owners can expect in the new Congress. Obviously, you know, the House flipped to the control of the Democrats. But interestingly, the Senate actually became more pro-gun, in my opinion. So what do you guys think we're going to see in this new Congress?
Well, I think the first thing we're going to see is a move from the Democratic House to start implementing some gun controls. It could be so-called high-capacity magazine bans. I think we'll see them move towards a federal assault weapons ban, and I think we'll see a big move towards universal background checks.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen legislation introduced in the House and the Senate for, universal background checks, which is a precursor to national registration, as we know, and also an assault weapons ban. Senator Feinstein has introduced yet again an assault weapons ban, and it's even worse, I think, than prior iterations of the legislation. Wouldn't you say?
I definitely agree. We've seen the assault weapons ban, but I think we're really going to see a focus on universal background checks. We know that Feinstein, especially in the Senate, can't get the assault weapons ban passed, and so they're going to really focus on those red flag laws.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. I think, they're going to look to pass the sort of low-hanging fruit and I think they're going to try and do that pretty quickly. I wouldn't be surprised to see the House universal background check bill move maybe as soon as mid-February and send it over to the Senate, where its fate remains to be seen, I think.
Right, I think the challenge for Democrats and gun controllers in the Senate is they don't control the agenda and they don't control the floor. So because of that, it doesn't really matter whether they have 51 or 55 or even 60 votes. What matters is whether Mitch McConnell has a desire to bring these to the floor. I think given the number of issues that the Senate's going to face this year, he will probably not be all that eager to bring any gun control legislation to the floor. But the problem we always have in the Second Amendment community is the left is always ready to pounce on a new tragedy and anything that happens. And so that is the real risk going forward, is whether the left can organize and motivate people right when lightning strikes to get the outcome they want.
Yeah, there's the famous line by Rahm Emanuel, never let a tragedy, go unused for political purposes. And it's a sad reality. I mean, when we see tragedies, we see the other side fundraising literally within an hour of the headline breaking. But and as we know, many of these laws that they want to pass would do nothing to stop these tragedies. Universal background checks wouldn't have stopped what happened in Sutherland Springs, for example, because the records weren't in the system. We ought to be working for common sense solutions that really do, have an effect, like Senator Cornyn's Fix NICS legislation that we supported, that will help to put the records into the system. What's the point of having more bad background checks? That doesn't really help anybody. And again, as we know, with universal background check, it's the first step. It is not enforceable and doesn't work unless you have national gun registration. And so people need to be aware of that when they're thinking about, well, what's so bad about universal background checks? They need to understand what's coming next.
I think it's also important to note that anti-gunners are so quick to say we need to expand background checks, but like you said, we need to fix the system that's in place first. Expanding a flawed system just expands those inaccuracies and gives them more of a reason to push gun control. If they're going to try to say that the Brady bill and the NICS registry does something, let's make it whole. And that's something that I think is common, middle of the road. Majority of gun owners can get behind. Gun control advocates can get behind. None of us want to see a criminal with a gun in their hands.
Absolutely not. I mean, the retailers rely upon the background check system being accurate so that they know that they're not transferring a firearm to a prohibited person. This is why several years ago the National Shooting Sports Foundation started the Fix NICS initiative, which has changed the law in 16 states and increased the disqualifying mental health records in the background check system by 200%. And there are still states that aren't submitting records. There are at least 3 that still aren't submitting those records. We're still working to get the law changed in those states. So thanks for joining us. We hope you had a good discussion, and we look forward to seeing you soon.